This is James Hawker of OK First, here at the National Weather Center in Norman. The United States NextRoute network is currently undergoing a major upgrade called Dual Polarization, or Dual Pol for short. Dual Pol provides a lot of new capability that we didn't have before, but at the same time also presents some new challenges that we need to consider. To help us sort through this, we're going to meet with several meteorologists from the National Weather Service Warning Decision Training Branch. We're going to talk about the capabilities, the limitations, what it might mean for emergency management.
The way radars work is they send out a burst of energy called a pulse to send it out into the atmosphere, hit a target, and then the energy bounces back, and that's where the radar data comes from. With a conventional radar, that energy is oriented in one direction, horizontally for weather, because that's where the most important information is. With a dual polarization radar, the benefit is it sends out that energy, but it can actually receive that energy in two different directions. And so it's able to get more information that way.
Basically, dual pol is an enhancement to the existing radars. Basically, they rotate the beam 45 degrees, and then they added an additional set of receivers that gives us a measurement in the vertical and horizontal dimensions. So I kind of think of it like a medical scanner. Before, you could only tell how tall you were or how short you were. Now we can tell how fat and skinny you are too.
That additional information can really help someone who's trained to use the radar better understand what's going on. A conventional radar, because it only has information in one dimension, it just tells you about the size of what you're seeing. Dual polarization radar, you get that same size information, but you also get more information about the target's shape, as well as the variety of targets that are available, which can really help you when you're trying to identify, say, rain versus snow, hail from heavy rain, things like that.
Before, when it came to precipitation, we basically knew if there were raindrops or hailstones or whatever, and basically knew their size. Now we can tell their shape, and we can tell how alike and how different they are.
The goal of the dual polarization upgrade was the catchphrase is to do no harm. So in terms of how the products update, how they scan the atmosphere, that will stay the same. The one big difference will be is that there will be more products available.
The same tilts, the same scanning strategy, the same old products will basically work just as they were before. What we are going to get are new dual pol products, new algorithms, new rainfall products, and stuff like that.
The radar is still a radar. That's not going to change, nor do I foresee that ever really changing much.
Well, it doesn't scan any faster. It doesn't have any more detail. It doesn't see any closer to the ground. So these things are basically as they were before. So those types of things really haven't changed.
As a radar pulse goes out from the radar, it gets bigger in size. It spreads out. And as a result, objects that are farther away from the radar doesn't see them as well as something that's up close. That's not going to change.
Dual pol is not a magic bullet. It doesn't replace and enhance the radars with new updates and things like that any faster. The positive thing is that dual pol was developed here in Oklahoma. So that means the algorithms are developed here based on the clouds that we typically have here, and so those things are positive for us that are going to be challenging for the parts of the country.
Well, the big thing with dual pol data is it is a really steep learning curve to pick everything up, even for an expert in radar meteorology. So for someone who's kind of new to it, it's going to be very intimidating.
Forecasters will get the most benefit initially, and so because of dual pol, they'll be able to issue better warnings. Things like winter storm warnings will be better because we'll be able to track the changeover from rain to snow or snow to rain better. Severe thunderstorm warnings will get better because we'll know more information if there's large hail or no hail. Eventually, flash flood warnings will get better too because the rainfall products will get better. So initially it'll be forecasters, but then as experience grows, more people will get benefit from it too.
Some of the new products, some of them will be more intuitive to users than others. Some of them may take a long time, especially for a novice user, to try to pick up and get some meaningful information out of. But there definitely should be benefits, whether you are a meteorologist, an emergency manager, wherever you fall on that scale. One of the big benefits for dual polarization radar is that it has the ability to fairly clearly detect tornadic debris. Now, there are caveats to that. The tornado would have to be relatively close to the radar, and it would have to be causing enough damage that enough debris is lofted so the radar can see it. And so, especially in some cases, they would have to loft the debris fairly high. But at least at this point, in the number of cases we've seen, it's promising that we will be able to detect tornadoes pretty well. Now, with emergency managers, that they're heavily involved with a lot of activities when it comes to tornado season, this capability won't replace what we need from emergency managers, but it will certainly help out in cases where a human spotter might have difficulties, such as at night, if a tornado's rain wrapped. Ultimately, this information can be conveyed by a trained meteorologist with the National Weather Service, say, to emergency managers through the various products that we make available or in chat rooms. And as a result, hopefully this will help emergency managers keep their spotters safer during an event. And then after an event, it should help them determine what areas were most greatly impacted and how they can help in a post-event assessment.
The thing about the debris is that it's not something that a casual user is going to be able to do immediately by themselves, because you have to look at the collision coefficient product in conjunction with the velocity and the reflectivity product. So it's kind of complicated to do, but eventually, even more advanced outside users can probably do that too. And so initially, say an emergency manager suspects a tornado has happened in their area, then you can get in contact with your WCM. They can track the tornado debris signatures for you, and then that might help with damage assessment and things like that.
To learn much more about Dual Pol radar from the Warning Decision Training Branch, please go to the following website. And a special thanks to Andy Wood, Dale Morris, and the staff at the Warning Decision Training Branch for partnering with OK First on this video.